Alright guys, so I just started watching this video right here and I thought, you know what? I'm gonna do a reaction to this video. Okay? Now, this right here is now like, you know, reaction to reaction to reaction to reaction. Okay? That's what this is. So it starts with Amie reacting to Tom MacDonald the Machine. Then we have another reaction channel reacting to that. Then we have Amie reacting to her video. Okay. Then you have me going to react to this video. All right. So I have no idea where this is going to go, you know. And I've already reached out to Amie in her comment section a couple of times. And, you know, she is, first of all, you know, the type of channel she has is something that I absolutely love. Okay. I love channels that are able to disagree or agree with pretty much anything. You know, they don't have like a set, you know, scope that they have to stick to, or else they will upset certain fans. And then, like, that's just a narrow hallway is where they're going to stick to. Okay. And that type of channel, like, they are all over the place. And a lot of channels I absolutely love. Like, that's what you're getting with those types of channels. You know, and with channels like that, what you'll find is, it seems to me, even if they completely disagree with a lyric, with an opinion, with whatever else, because, you know, the reaction they would get from the audience, okay, like that would tell them, I can't say that because then I'll tick off all the people that are watching me. So I'm just not going to say it. I'm just going to say I agree with it and move on. Okay, it's a lot easier that way. But at the end of the day, you are lying to your audience for one. Okay, and that's a problem for me. I like authenticity. I like truth tellers. As Beast Boy puts it, truth tellers are incredibly important. Okay, and I think that's what Amie is. I think she's a truth teller because I've seen her a couple times now say, okay, I disagree with Tom on this point, and I appreciate that. And I think as time goes on, as she continues to do the more controversial videos from Tom, I think she's probably going to start disagreeing with him a lot more. Okay. And, you know, and there's going to be ones where she's going to agree with him on a lot more things. And that's totally fine. And that's what you would expect from someone who's giving an honest opinion. So let's go ahead and check out some of this video. Now, this video is almost an hour long. We're definitely not going to do a reaction to the whole thing. Okay. But, you know, what I'm going to do, I'm going to play the first few minutes of it. Then I'll play probably a few minutes in the middle. And then I'll play the end of it. Okay. That's what we're going to do. So I'm going to play the beginning so you guys can, you know, fully understand what kind of video we're watching right now. Okay.
Hello YouTube, Amie here. So today I'm going to react to a reactor who's reacting to this reactor. And so I'm going to react to that reactor. And I'm just curious now. I don't know anything about this. I don't know the video. I know they're reacting to one of my videos. But the channel is, it's called, okay, here's the story. I'll put the link in the description. Regardless of where they land.
Now, you know, I don't know where this other channel lands, okay, with their views and everything like that. If they are more on the conservative side, hopefully they're not like so far, to the right that, they can't see any positives or any good things about the left. And I don't think that's the case, because if that was like where their mindset is, they wouldn't be giving this the time of day. Okay. So because they are, that tells me they're at least centered enough to say, not all liberals are bad. And that is something Tom MacDonald said quite a few times. I don't believe him. Okay, I don't believe it when he says that.
If you could do me a favor and go over there and like them, subscribe, show some love, because that's what we do here on my channel, right? We show love, whether we agree or disagree. But I'm curious to see. I just want to see this. I don't know anything about this channel, so let's just go with it.
Hello everyone, and welcome to another reaction video for Okay, Here Is the Story.
Hi.
I am Dee Burns. Okay, so today's reaction video is titled A Liberal's First Time Listening to The Machine by Tom MacDonald. Now,
that's me.
I have two mentors that are high subscribed, have high subscription numbers
Sorry, didn't mean to hit pause.
to their channels. They've taken me under their wing, Kenny and
Good.
Daniel, and
It's always good to have mentors. You got to have mentors, people that you can follow, and you got to have what I call disciples, people you can lead. It's good to have people on both sides.
they've kind of helped me along with my channel. Just
Good.
when I have questions, I can contact either one of them, and they'll answer my questions.
Good.
And they give me suggestions and so forth. So I asked Daniel the other day, what do you think about reactors reacting to reactors?
Well, I have a question. What do you think about reactors reacting to reactors who are reacting to reactors?
And look, she has no idea that this is happening right now. She has no idea that a reactor is reacting to this video. Okay? So I think that's going to be quite surprising when that happens. Okay.
And he says, well, I've seen it done. He goes, I don't do it, but I've seen it done. I'm like,
This will be
okay.
fun.
Today, I got up and, I was scrolling through YouTube as I do every day. And I saw this reactor. Her name is Amie Kinz.
That's me.
And she, from what I read on YouTube, she's a pastor, a musician,
Yep.
and she says she advocates for those that can't advocate for themselves.
Absolutely.
And I am also going to be doing some reactions to her music as well. Okay. And probably going to, maybe do a couple reactions to that tonight. And, and she did tell me she's not, like the greatest musician in the world or anything like that. So I'm expecting something kind of on the mediocre side as far as her like musician skills and that kind of thing. And I said, you know what? I'm not even like reacting to it for that purpose. I'm more interested in the lyrics, right? The topics that she brings up in her songs. That kind of thing. That's what I'm more interested in. So that's where I'm going to be like analyzing the topics, the lyrics, the messages, that kind of thing. So she is a pastor, so I'm expecting we'll maybe get like some Bible verses in her songs. Maybe have a song where she'll like start off like read a Bible verse and then have a whole song dedicated to just explaining what the verse is about, how we can apply it to our daily lives, that kind of thing. I think that'd be really interesting. So if you haven't done anything like that yet, I think that'd be amazing. And just so you know, I saw that you did a reaction to Dax recently. And Dax actually does that. In a lot of his songs, he'll start off and he'll read a Bible verse, and then he'll make a whole music video that will, play into that specific verse. One of those songs, and I'm going to go ahead and give you a request right now. Hopefully, you'll be able to get to it eventually. It's a video by Dax. It's called "The Devil Is Calling." That, I think, is a must for you to do a reaction to. I think that would make you gain a lot of respect for Dax's messages in his songs. Okay.
Okay.
In fact, I don't just advocate for LGBTQI inclusion, though I do, and I know it's a hot topic for people. But I just came back from Pakistan, where we freed 13 people out of slavery. I left on the 1st of
Oh, wow.
February. I was there for like 16 days.
Yeah, so this right here is one of the reasons why I wanted to do this reaction. Okay. I think the topics they're going to be talking about is going to be so important. And I love the fact that she is inclusive in that community. Okay. And I myself have had conversations about this many times. Okay. And there's a thing that happens a lot of times within churches, within, religions, within, all kinds of things like that. What usually happens is, well, that is an abomination of God. That'll send you straight to hell. Okay. That's usually where that goes when it comes to that community. Now, the problem with that is that completely disregards the whole concept of Jesus died for your sins so you may have salvation. Okay, that washes away our sins as long as we accept Jesus Christ into our lives. Now, supposedly, if you continue to sin, that goes away. I don't think it does. I think this is where repentance comes in. Okay, and that's the whole point. All human beings are flawed. We all have our own issues and our own problems. The problem with that community is that their issues are shown outward. Okay, meaning you could walk up to them, see them wearing a rainbow shirt that says Pride on it, and you immediately know, what their issues are, what their sin is. But the person who's viewing that, their sin is shown inward. Okay? You can't look at that person and tell, you're committing this sin, you're committing that sin, so how are you judging me? Now, Jesus would know. And actually what Jesus said in that situation was, he that is without sin cast the first stone. Okay? Because he knew none of those people were without sin. He knew that. And none of those people was able to do that because they all had sin. Okay? I have sinned. She has sinned. Everyone is a sinner. Jesus died for all of us, not just the ones who are already, doing their best to walk in the light, to live a righteous life. He didn't die for just those people. Okay? He died for the people who, would wear the pride shirts. He died for them too. And a lot of people mistake that because they'll read from the Old Testament before Jesus came back to offer those people salvation. They read from the Old Testament and they say, oh, you see, it says you do this, you're going to hell. And I think that's where a lot of people get confused about that. Now, the other thing, too, that I believe is we were supposed to sin. Okay? It's in our nature to sin. Adam and Eve were supposed to get tricked by the devil. That was the plan from the whole beginning. And like I just had a conversation last night about this with my sister. Okay, I was talking to her about this. And what I told her was the tree was put in plain view of Adam and Eve. And God tempted them with that tree. This tree will give you knowledge that I don't want you to have, was basically what he told Adam and Eve. Okay? And so they were tempted with that. Who wouldn't want to have knowledge when you have none? The only thing they knew was, the only thing we can't touch is this one tree. Now, what I said was, that would be like bringing toys home, putting them in the middle of the floor and saying, hey kids, you can play with everything else, but these toys here, you can't play with these. Now, she says that's not the same thing. I think it is. Especially since God said, the fruit here will give you knowledge. Okay. So they knew there was something special about that tree. That curiosity, you could just imagine, would drive them crazy, wondering what kind of knowledge they would be given. Okay? So, yes, God tempted them with that tree. And like I said, that was the plan. He put that tree there for them. He wanted them to gain that knowledge. And the other thing I said was, to further prove that point, God created the heavens and the earth first, before he created Adam and Eve. So, back to the analogy I gave my sister, okay? You bring home toys your kids are going to want to play with. You put them in the middle of the floor and you say, these toys are off limits. You can play with everything else except these toys, okay? Can't do that. So a purpose, a parent might have for doing something like that is to teach them wrong versus right, and to teach them about discipline. Okay, but you would want to start out with something small, something that isn't going to have huge consequences to it. Okay, so you go with something like that, something they are meant to play with, because that's the intention after all. You put those toys down there, they're children, they're going to play with them. And when they do, then you could come up and say, hey, guess what? I told you not to do that. You've done that. Now you're in trouble. Okay? You have disobeyed my, command for you. Now, of course, that would be, a really unorthodox way to parent. Okay? But, that's just the analogy. That's essentially what God did, right? He knew they would want fruit from that specific tree, and then he allowed a snake to manipulate Eve into, biting off of that apple, okay? He allowed that to happen. And, it's like God knows all and sees all, okay? So, there's no possible way in my mind that God did not know that, the snake was going to further tempt Adam and Eve with the apple. Okay. I think it was just a matter of time before that happened. Even if she had resisted the snake, that time, right? How many more times would it have taken for the snake to finally get her to, disobey God and do that? Okay. And let's just imagine for a moment, she goes to God and says, hey, God, there's this snake, and he's telling me that I should eat off of the forbidden tree. What do you think God would say at that point? you have the ability to resist that snake. You have the ability to say, no, I will not eat off of that tree. And that is essentially what I believe our relationship to God is when it comes to sin. God isn't going to remove temptation from our lives. We have to do that. We can pray for strength, we can do all these other things, but at the end of the day, we have to put in the work to, reduce temptation, to get rid of things that are toxic in our lives. God isn't going to, put you on a path to victory and then make it so that you don't have to do any of the work. He's not going to do that. Like, that's not part of the plan. The plan is to have us fail over and over and over again until we finally start to realize, hey, wait a minute. I can't expect everyone to do the work for me. If I want to, become a better person and all those kind of things, I have to do the work myself. With prayer, with help from other people, but at the end of the day, like, you can't just expect everyone to do all the work for you. Okay? And you can't expect God is going to be there and say, oh, wait a minute, this is too much temptation. We can't put that on him, because you have to go look at the book of Job and see what Job went through. Did God tell Satan, no, you can't do that to him? He hasn't done anything wrong. He's innocent. We can't. No. He said, you think you could get him to, turn against me? Have at it. So that is essentially what I think our relationship to God is when it comes to sin and when it comes to temptation.
And last year I went to India and we advocated for the Dalit community and gave some Dalits some employment. We started 2 businesses out there. We take none of the revenue, but we started 2 businesses out there where we help them with getting jobs. Now the Dalits don't have it's a caste system, and they're on the bottom of the caste, and they are treated like the scum of the earth, and there's 160 million of them. And so I advocate for them as well. So a Dalit might get paid 12 cents a day, and we might pay them $1 an hour, $8 a day, which doesn't sound like a lot here, but that is like, working at $15 or $16 an hour, like a minimum wage job here for a full day. So because of the difference in revenue. But yeah, I do absolutely advocate for the marginalized. It doesn't matter who they are, doesn't matter where they are. I love advocating for them.
But the title of her reaction was A Liberal's First Time Listening to the Machine.
That's
by
true,
Tom
first
MacDonald.
time. Never heard it before.
And I thought, ooh, that might be a really good one to listen to or to react to. Because even though I say I'm not a liberal and I'm not a Republican, I'm in the middle. Okay. I will be honest, as I have always been honest with you guys. I lean more towards the conservative side, because in my mind, when I hear the word liberal, I think of people like the people on The View, like Whoopi Goldberg, Joy Behar, them.
Interesting. So I would say I know I've said I'm left leaning, but I would say I'm a liberal that leans more center, if that makes sense. I was trying to reconcile this, where do I land? Am I center? Am I right? No, I'm definitely liberal. But I'm a liberal that leans more center, but liberal.
That right there is exactly where I'm at. The only difference is I'm not quite left enough to say I'm a liberal, okay? I just say I'm a left-leaning centrist, okay? But liberal is a lot simpler. It's a lot easier to put in a title, okay? Because it's not like I can put left-leaning centrist reacts to whatever. I mean, I could, but I wouldn't have very much room left in the title to put the name of the song, the video, nothing like that. So I don't know.
And it makes me angry.
But for those who want to fact check me and say, hey, you said in the past, listen, I'm trying to sort this out, the right terminology. I don't know the terminology.
So I thought.
So that is very interesting that she's not familiar with certain terminologies. That's what I was kind of thinking, because I've been thinking about this for a while. So when she did her reaction to the machine, I put in her comment section under that video, and I said, I guess you missed where he said he took the red pill, but then before that he says he's not a Republican. You know, and I was basically saying that's a huge contradiction right there, because the red pill is talking about, you know, becoming a Republican, because it's what? Blue versus red. You take the red pill, you go all in on the Republican side. And then he says, I took the red pill because they're the only ones fighting for my freedom. So, in other words, anyone who's associated with the left, liberals, Democrats, the whole left side party is all fighting to take his freedom away. Okay, that is extremely divisive, and there's no way you can say, I'm not a liberal and I'm not a Republican, and then also say, yeah, well, this side's the only one that's fighting for my freedom. You can't do that. That's a huge contradiction right there.
This is going to be a good one to react to, because she's probably going to get mad. She's probably going to have a fit about Tom's, song, The Machine.
I love that. I love that so much, because that's the stereotype, isn't it? Right? It's that, oh, well, you're a liberal, so your feelings are going to get hurt. You're going to whine. You're going to cry. You're a snowflake. And all the while, when those people are talking all that nonsense, they don't have a clue what they're talking about. Okay? So, a snowflake is someone who wants to control the rest of the world, who says, things used to be this way, and now they're not. And I want things to go back to being this way. So if you disagree with me, then you're the enemy. You need to shut up. You need to go home. We need to focus on people who can change and adapt to my way of thinking. Those are snowflakes. And snowflakes exist on both sides of the spectrum.
That really triggers me. I'm just kidding. Oh, you're going to be so disappointed. I'm so sorry that you're going to be so disappointed because, well, you'll see.
And I want to watch it.
Watch my meltdown.
I want to react to it.
Here it comes.
I want my subscribers to see me watch it for the first time.
In fact, you're going to see my meltdown within the first, 2 lines or the first 2 bars. You'll see where...
Now, here is exactly why I was so intrigued with this channel and with Amie overall. Okay, here's why. There's not a lot of, people on YouTube who are lefties, who are liberals, that are just, normal, regular people. Okay. There's a lot of, highly popular platforms that are, liberal or left-leaning. Right? Like, David Pacman's show, then you got TYT and all of those, but the difference is all of those channels, you can't have a conversation with them. They're not there to, really have a conversation with the general public. So David Pacman says he has a voicemail to where people could call in and leave a voicemail message. So I think I might try to do that sometime just to see if maybe he would air it in one of his videos. I think that'd be pretty interesting. Okay. But look, most of the other huge platforms, they ain't gonna care one little bit about someone else's opinion. Okay, that's not what they're there for. They're there to get on camera, tell you what they want you to know, then they want you to shut up about it. Okay? But other than that, like, as far as just normal everyday people go, there's not a whole lot of liberals or Democrats on YouTube. And, like, don't get me wrong, there is a few, okay? And even still, like, they might criticize Tom MacDonald, but they're not, like, having, like, a huge meltdown, okay? And just, like, crying and going crazy, we need to cancel Tom MacDonald. No, they're not doing any of that. The only thing they're doing is they're watching the videos and criticizing what he talks about. Just like I do. I criticize Tom MacDonald so much that most of Tom MacDonald's fans, they don't watch my videos anymore. Like, that's how, like, I go pretty hard on Tom MacDonald, okay? And I'm not having a huge meltdown. I'm not, like, going, we need to cancel Tom MacDonald. No, let him have his platform. Let him say what he wants to say. That's totally fine. He has the right to his opinion. I have the right to mine.
Where this video's headed.
Okay, so that's the video for today. Before we get into this video, please like, share, and subscribe to my YouTube and our Rumble channel.
Guys, if you're watching this video, jump over her channel and like and subscribe and show some love. Again, if people want us to see me implode, I'm still gonna love them. So, and she seems really sweet. So give her some love. Give her a like and subscribe. Tell her I sent you guys over there, please.
Please, please, please leave me a comment. It can be about me. It can be about my channel. It can be about.
So I'm gonna go ahead and start kind of skipping through. And of course I'm gonna watch the whole video in its entirety later on. But like, we're already getting close to an hour, right? And I want to be able to at least hear some of the middle section of the video and then the very end. Okay.
In charge, and this is and now she's got the look on her face like, hold on a second, wait up, a liberal is gonna say things that I might agree with. This is true on both parties. He's saying he's not a Republican, he's not a Democrat, but he's talking about the machine, the system, how it's designed to oppress the people. Because as Jesus said, if you could read her thoughts right now, it's just going. I love it so much. House divided against itself can't. She's all. Love it. I love it. I love it. Not stand. And look at how divided is our country. We're not standing very well, are we? I mean, yes, we're still a superpower. We're still there. But man, the internal fighting is going to break our nation. I can hear the fax machine going as she's like just trying to work this stuff out. Much love. I'm not mocking you in any way. I'm just enjoying your reaction. Oh.
Okay. Wow. Okay. But I guess her bio did say she's a preacher.
I am.
So I could see where she's using scripture.
I do.
That part kind of surprised me. And it kind of surprised me that she wasn't mad. I thought, being a liberal, here is my stereotypical knowledge.
Oh, see, there's the problem. There's the problem.
Yep.
The right stereotypes the left stereotypes the right, and we lose the humanity.
You got it. And that's exactly why I was like so interested in doing a reaction to this. Okay. Because this message right here, like, it needs to get to everyone. Okay. Everyone needs to see this and start to understand. And I've put this in her comment section before too. Too far left is just as bad as too far right. When you are so far into one side, and it's a lot easier for them to manipulate you. That's exactly what's going to happen. So, I recently commented under a video from the David Pakman show. Okay, and his video The title says, Joe Biden has zero scandals, and it makes Trumpists furious. Okay, the comment I put under it, I said, hey, I usually side with the left, but I also believe in accuracy and fairness. So how can you say zero scandals? I said, here's the definition of a scandal: an action or event regarded as morally or legally wrong and causing general public outrage. Okay, that happens constantly when it comes to Joe Biden. Okay. Now, of course, that's going to happen with every president. You know, both sides are going to fight over this president is horrible. He's the worst we've ever had. No, he's the best we ever had. That's always going to happen. So there's always going to be some, public outrage over what a president says and does. Okay? So every president's going to have some scandals, okay, regardless of who they are. Whether the scandals are right or wrong, because things could be taken out of context, they could be misunderstood. President could mistakenly say the wrong thing when they meant something else. Okay. So there's things like that. For example, Joe Biden saying, well, if you don't know who to vote for, you ain't black. Okay. That's a scandal. That right there is saying, look, I don't have to earn votes from black people. I just demand it. Okay. It's not okay. Okay. So that's a scandal right there. There is just way too many to keep track of. Okay.
Between the two. No, I relate because I did the same thing, and I'm over it. It's done. It doesn't work. Let's try something new, like loving people.
Of liberals, I figured she would be mad that he was using those words.
Not at all.
But she was like me. She was shocked. She's like, wow, he's using pretty strong words.
Those are strong words.
Communist, swastika, Holocaust, Nazi. But I feel like she was.
Why would a liberal be upset at just someone talking about those things? See, there's such a huge misconception when it comes to liberals overall. Okay. And that's something we're definitely going to, talk a lot more about. Okay.
Kind of not happy, but she was okay with him using those words because those are words that are strong and need to be used to get people's attention.
Okay, so let me bring some clarity here. So, am I okay with people using that words? Listen, we have freedom of speech, and I'm a liberal, but I also like my.
Yep, and that's another misconception. Liberals hate freedom of speech. Liberals want to control everyone, because, like I said, it's a huge misconception that liberals are snowflakes. They want to control the rest of the world. You can't say this, you can't say that. But see, the problem is they're hearing all those things from right-wing media is where they're hearing it from. And instead of actually going and finding real liberals and, people who are more, centered, but still left-leaning, they don't talk to those people. Those people aren't a good representation of, the arguments they can downplay and make look ridiculous the easiest. So, in other words, what I'm saying is the people who are, looking for the worst representation and then, blasting them all over the place, they're lazy. It's the simplest way I can put it. They're lazy and they want to make the quickest and the easiest content that'll get the most views. And it's very disingenuous, okay? And it's not helping anything. And if you pay attention to the language, and I've had to correct myself quite a few times when I would accidentally say, and I'm pretty sure you can find quite a few times when I'll say, this comes from the conservatives. The conservatives are the ones who's pushing this agenda or that agenda. And I have to try and stop doing that, because that's the same thing I advocate against, because it's not that I'm saying, all conservatives are bad. They all push for the... No, that's not what I'm saying. Okay. But generally speaking, if I'm listening to a conservative, that's what I hear. But that's not to say all conservatives are the same, because they're not. And that's why I also would say to them, all liberals aren't the same. You can't listen to one liberal and say, this is what liberals are. This is what liberals want. You can't do that.
Freedom of speech. Now, would I use that words to relate to other people? Probably not. But I also love it in music. Like when people are really strong in their opinions in music, I really like that, because you get a really good pulse on the culture through the music that the culture brings. And so, no, I'm all for it. I'm all for the left and the right, the center and the leaning people, you're leaning left, leaning right, those who are on extremes. I'm all for them using their language for whatever they need to do.
So that's kind of what I said. Okay, well, let's get back into it.
Oh, gonna kick this back again. Go, Tom.
How's this a democracy when we got communists in charge? Cancel culture Nazis, all they're missing is the swastikas. Honestly, this is a psychological holocaust. Pumping propaganda through the screen and straight into your brain. You ain't on a plantation, but you definitely still a slave. Race.
Oh, there's another bar. You're not on a plantation, but you're still a slave. We're a slave to our devices. Oh, I love my phone.
Oh.
And many people miss what I did there. I'm like, we're a slave to our devices, and I'm trying to be funny. Oh, I love my phone. Being a slave to the device. You guys missed it. We're a slave to our devices. We're a slave. I got bars. Not really, but I do.
I did miss that. Because I had watched this video before. Okay. I didn't watch this specific video, but I watched her reaction to the machine when she first put that out. And I did miss that, so... really appreciate the clarity on that joke right there, y'all.
What the machine tells us. I mean, facts, buddy, facts.
Screening straight into your brain.
Okay, first of all, I want to...
Although, this is one thing I love to do, is to, do a first impression of a song, what I think about it at first, and then as time goes on, I constantly go back to it, and I keep thinking about it and thinking about it. What does this mean? What does that mean? And as I'm thinking about it now, you're not on a plantation, but you're still a slave to your devices. And, and then later on, he also says that basically the major corporations are controlling us and telling us what we can and can't learn, okay? Through using Google or whatever else, right? Because they control the algorithms. Here's the problem with that. We can be our own fact checkers on everything, okay? Because we live in a free country. We're not going to be going to a website and it's going to say, you are not allowed to visit this site because it contains information that is not allowed, okay, in this country. There are countries, though, that have, restrictions like that. We don't have those kind of restrictions. So we can always continue to do more research if we see something, in an article or watch a video and we're thinking, that don't sound right. We can fact check them. We can go to this website. We go to that website. We can keep doing more and more research until we find enough to give us a better idea of who's telling the truth and who's not. Okay. So the other part that I was going to mention is we're not slaves to our devices. Okay. You know, and he's used this line several times now, like he did in Fake Woke. Okay. The problem with that is that analogy doesn't work. Okay. Like, if you were to go back in time, walk up to a slave and say, hey, you don't have to, be a slave to this anymore. We're going to give you a phone. Okay. That's going to replace the life you have right now. You could go live your life, do everything you want to do, but you're going to be a slave to this device. Okay. You can look at whatever you want to on it. You have the freedom to watch any video, to do any of that stuff. Okay. But you're going to be a slave to this device, and that's going to be good enough for us. Does that really make sense? No. It's not the same thing, Tom McDonald. It's not the same thing at all.
No, not really. Nothing really triggers me. It's very rare I get triggered.
Slaves to our devices. I didn't take it that way when he said that. That's a good point.
Mental note, the liberal had a good point. I'm just saying.
I really like her so far.
Ah, I like you too.
Okay.
Brain, you ain't on a plantation, but you definitely still a slave. Race theory is indoctrinating children. Tell blacks they're disadvantaged, tell whites.
Sorry, what I like, and this is why I started this channel, is I want to cross the divide. I want to bring humanity back to those who have opposing opinions. And I love that I get to virtually watch you.
That is the exact same reason why I started my channel too. It was because I would constantly hear from this side or that side, from both sides. The other side is the enemy, and we can't allow them to have any platforms. We can't do anything like that. They all need to shut up. They all need to go home. All right? Shut up and dribble comes to mind. So yeah, all of that kind of rhetoric, that's just, they can't give us their opinions. They're not there to give us their opinions. They're there to do this, they're there to do that, and that's it. And it's like, but if their opinion aligned with yours, you wouldn't be saying that right now, and you know it. So it's all for division, it's all for divide, it's all for hate, and it's like, we don't need any more of that. We don't. You can disagree with someone and still say, you know what, but I respect you because you had the courage to stand up and give us your opinion, even though you knew a lot of people would turn against you because of it.
Like, you're wrestling with a liberal right now and trying to figure out, oh, this one's like not as bad as I thought. I love that.
They got white privilege. What a brilliant way to reinforce division. If whites believe they have it easy, they will never.
Sorry, but give me enough time, I'll offend you. Probably not, but I don't do it intentionally. But we're all human, we all have our opinions, and we're not gonna all agree.
Help you fight the system, and now they burn him.
Yeah, so I don't know where I land with critical race theory.
Still don't.
I honestly, I just don't know enough about it. But I don't believe. I guess it talks about systematic. In the systems, there's systematic racism. I don't know where I land on that. I don't have a lot of comments on it yet because I don't want to sound.
So here's what I'm going to say about critical race theory. Okay. I think for the most part, it's overblown. Okay. It is something to scare the Republicans, to get the Republicans and conservatives into an uproar and rage against the liberals. That's what it's for. Okay, that's why they keep talking about it. I don't think it's in schools like they say it is. And then you ask them for proof, and then they'll say, oh, well, it's not actually in the school books, but like there are systems that comes from it, okay, and there are like agendas that comes from it and changes the dynamic and the way. And I'm like, get real. Like, if it was as bad as you say it is, it would be in the school books. It would say critical race theory. It would say, you know, because I've heard stories, and I don't know where I fall on the stories that I have heard, because I don't know how legit they are or not, how widespread they are. I seriously doubt that it's in like every single school and in every single classroom. I couldn't imagine that. And, you know, because I've heard quite a few people that say, no, this is something that's only taught in colleges, not in like high school, middle school, nothing like that. Okay. The other thing I would say, this is going to be a really controversial opinion right here. Okay. Any current social justice movements do not belong in public schools. That means, you know, Black Lives Matter flags. That means pride flags. That means, you know, that means learning about current systemic racism. I don't think any of that stuff belongs in schools. Okay. Now, learning about history, that's one thing. But to prime them for learning about how hateful the world can be, about how hateful systems can be, about learning how hateful the machine could be, since we're talking about the machine that Tom MacDonald put out, okay, and talking about systemic oppression, that kind of thing. You know, I don't think that's something kids need to learn about. They're just children after all. You know, I think when they're kids, they need to worry about being a kid. You know, they need to be playing, they need to be having fun, you know, that kind of thing. Not, you know, be worried about the world falling apart and, you know, all that kind of stuff. Now, when there's a global emergency, that's something that's totally different. That is something that they need to learn about, because that is something that's going to affect them directly. Okay? So I say that's a lot different. I'm going to go ahead and go towards the end of the video. Okay.
Incredible video.
Yeah, she did. She did a great job.
Right leaning, I took the red. They want you to act. That's co-conforming to the norm. You don't need freedom for that. I'm not Republican or liberal or.
Yeah, you don't need freedom to conform.
Truth.
You just conform.
Yeah.
Funny, my Bible says in Romans 12:1, do not be conformed to the things of this world, but be transformed. How? By the renewing of your mind, by thinking. Biblical truth. So, just throwing it out there for those of you
Conforming to the norm,
like
you
it.
don't need freedom for that. I'm not Republican or liberal or left-wing or right-leaning. I took the red pills because that's who's fighting for my freedoms. And you don't need to choose to be accepted. They both fake teams. Evil runs the world now like hell ain't got no vacancy. They keep...
So, before we get to that part, okay, here's what I'm going to say. The Democrats and the liberals are, guess what, also fighting for your freedom, Tom MacDonald. They just are.
Great song, Tom. Great video, great song, great
reaction.
message. You know, and I don't disagree with pretty much everything he said on here as a liberal. There are some exceptions, though. I would say, like, I do know,
Okay.
and this is far and few and in between, because it's not everybody. But I do know, I know some people personally who have gotten into politics with the right motives and the right intentions. They're not. They're there to try and help. Not everybody is there to help, and I think over a long period of time in politics, you get skewed, and then you start to buy into, you know, the platform that you're on. But there are some people with good motives in there. Again, not everybody. It's a great video. Thank you, Tom. I'm playing it to the end, even for the last second, just in case. Okay, that's the last second. So, very good video. Thank you for that. I don't know what's up with these hats though. Yeah, so there you go. A liberal's view on this video, The Machine. So thank you, Tom. Thank you, Nova. Thank you, those who are reacting to my videos. If you guys can hit that like and subscribe button, it would mean a lot to me, and I appreciate you all. Thank you. God bless you.
Wow. That's all I have to say to that. Wow.
Are you saying that I brought the wow factor? Woo woo!
I did not think that was going to be the video I thought it was going to be.
Good. Her brain.
Amie,
Yes.
So here's what I want to say. She started off the video by saying she is, right-leaning, right? She leans more towards the conservative side, which is fine. But because she was willing to give Amie a chance, even though Amie says, I'm a liberal, she was like, I'm going to give the video a chance and just see what she has to say. I think that's incredibly important. And, for me, like, if I hear someone say they're conservative, I'm not going to, turn away from them and say, I don't want to talk to them. As a matter of fact, I've tried to join, communities that are, conservatives, right? And as soon as you tell them you're left-leaning, you're Democrat, you're liberal, you're whatever, that's the end of it. I just went in there and I said I'm a left-leaning centrist. And I got, we freaking hate you, you're the problem, you need to get out of here. They wanted nothing to do with that conversation. And like I told them, you have no idea, what areas I side with you on or side with the other side on. What I told them was, you shouldn't read a book by its cover. Just because I say a vague description of what my beliefs are, that doesn't tell you anything, right? You have to start reading the book to understand what that person is and what their beliefs are. And if you just assume that you know everything about that person, then you're just wrong. That's the simplest way to put it.
Listening.
I could see you and I being friends.
Then let's
really.
Be.
I can see you and I being friends.
Then let's be friends.
I mean, I am a lot like you. I have said the same things that you have.
Hey, I'm all for being friends.
But I don't count myself as a liberal.
That's okay.
I count myself as a conservative. I'm in the middle. I'm not saying I would never vote for a liberal. I mean, like I said, if they line up with my beliefs, my morals, and my goals for this country, then
absolutely nothing wrong with that. And I think that's what we should encourage. No matter what side of the aisle you're on, if someone comes along and is willing to fight for things you care about, then you should vote for them. Okay? But, you shouldn't just listen to their opponents as they are trying to slander and bash and, bring them down, right? You should listen to the other person as well.
I would vote for them.
Yeah.
My grandparents, as much as I love them, I loved them so much. They were Democrats, and they were ones that would just go in and just hit the Democrat button. That's it.
Yeah, we got that on
They
both
just
sides.
voted the whole ticket Democrat without even learning who stood for what. And I feel guilty if I go into the voting ballot and there's judges listed on the thing to vote for, and I'm like, I don't know who these people are, and I don't know if I like them or not, or what they believe, or what their goal is.
Yeah.
So
I get that.
I try really hard
Good.
to learn everybody that's on the ballot and what they stand for, and if it aligns with what I want this country to be like. Okay, well, that's the video for today. I am going to put a link into Amie's YouTube page. Please go over.
And I'm going to put a link into your page. And I'm going to...
And I'm going to have a link to both their pages. Okay? So what I'm going to do, I'm going to mention both of their channels, okay? You know, either in the title or in the description, but somewhere it will say at, and then it'll say the channel name. You'll be able to click that, go right to the channel. And then I'm also going to put links to both of these videos, okay?
say the same thing. Go over
And
there.
watch a few of her videos.
Watch a few of her videos as well.
If you agree with her, show her some love.
If you agree or disagree with her, still show her some love.
Right.
I know that.
You know, absolutely agree. You know, like this was just an amazing video, and I can't wait to, you know, watch it in its entirety. I'm sure I probably missed, you know, quite a few good points in here, but this is already a pretty long video, okay? You know, and where I stand with Tom MacDonald is I like his music. He is a decent rapper, okay? He makes really good songs, okay? They sound really, really good. I like them, especially like Dirty Money and that kind of thing. The problem is a lot of his, you know, talking points and a lot of his rhetoric is just divisive. It is hateful. It is, you know, meant to, you know, throw shade at liberals, okay? And where you could really find that is Your America. Now, she hasn't done Your America yet. And what I'm going to say about that before she does it, here's what I'm going to say to you, Amie, okay? In Your America, he says, if you don't want to make America great again, you're a chump, you're this, you're that, okay? You know, and so with that, he's basically saying, if you're not like supporting Donald Trump, then this is not your America, it's mine. Now, I think that was extremely divisive and like I said, very hateful towards people who disagree with him, okay, especially on Donald Trump. Now, a lot of people try to tell me that what he's saying is it's not your America, it's our America. And I was like, nah, I don't think so. I really don't. I think it's not your America, it's my America. Okay? And he pretty much says that in America. Why do you live here if all you do is hate it? If my stars and stripes offend you, I will help you pack your bags. In other words, if you complain about America, if you complain about systemic racism, if you complain about injustices, then you need to get the hell out of America. Because we like all that stuff in America. That's what I got from the video. Okay? Now, I might be even more of a liberal than Amie is. But I still would not call myself a liberal. Because like I said, I try to stay like directly in the middle. So that's where I stand on that. And therefore, if someone comes back and says, hey, wait a minute, you read that all wrong, that's not what he meant, he actually meant this, I would actually listen to that person. I would set aside my biases and things I don't like about Tom MacDonald, and I would listen to that person. Maybe I could learn something from them, possibly change my perspective. Okay? If I was, you know, so far to the left that I was like set in my ways and couldn't, you know, listen to their side whatsoever, then I wouldn't give a crap what that person thought. I would just tell them, no, you're wrong, and go on about my day. I'm not going to do that. Okay. I created these channels to have discussions about things, and that's what I want to do. All right, guys. So there is one last thing I want to address. Okay. So recently, I watched the podcast from Joe Rogan. Okay. With Cat Williams. And one of the things they talked about was Sodom and Gomorrah. Okay. And after watching that, I just got really curious about, Amie's point of view on that. Because I've seen a lot of, preachers who would say, and as a matter of fact, there's a preacher I watched on YouTube, and he said if he had someone in his church that was gay or anything like that, they wouldn't be able to hold any higher positions within the church. Okay. I think that's wrong. The way I look at it is, we are all sinners, every single one of us. Okay. And, just because one person might have, one specific sin that is quite obvious, okay, doesn't mean that, he lives a worse life than someone else who you view as, someone who lives a righteous life. Okay. It kind of takes me back to the words that Jesus spoke. He that is without sin cast the first stone. He that is without sin can hold a higher position within the church. Okay? I don't think anyone could do it. To my understanding, the Bible pretty much says, if man were perfect, they would be gods, and they are not. We are all flawed. We all have wants, desires, and needs that goes against God. Okay? It doesn't matter who you are. If you're a human being, you're going to have sin in your life. Okay? Now, the goal is to reject as much of it as possible. That's totally fine. And when you recognize something as a sin, then you repent and you feel bad about it. Okay? And you try to find other areas of your life that you could say, you know what, I can do without this. That is a vice. Goes against God. I can do without that. So that's what I think is the most important thing. That you live the best life you can with as little sin as possible, and repenting for the ones that you can't help. Because every man will fall short of the glory of God. We are all sinners. Every last one of us. And I don't think we should be going around weighing one sin against another and saying, well, your sin is worse than my sin. So I'm going to go ahead and start casting some stones. Okay? It's like, no. A sin is a sin. The song from Third Day, I think, speaks volumes to the people who would say, living this lifestyle sends you straight to hell. And I've heard, pastors on YouTube say that. Okay? But here's the problem with that. One of the 10 commandments, thou shalt not kill. Now go listen to the song from Third Day. It was called Thief. And he takes you through the story from the perspective of the person who was next to Jesus on the cross, who was a murderer. He was a thief. Okay? And he waited until his last day on earth before he accepted Jesus Christ. And what happened? Jesus didn't condemn him. He didn't say, you waited too late. It's too late now. you lived your whole life, you know, committing crimes against God. And so now it's like, nah, we don't need you. We don't need your kind. Jesus didn't say that. Okay? You know, Jesus said, today you will be with me in heaven. And we have to come to understand, he broke one of the 10 commandments. Thou shalt not kill. And so we're going to have people comparing one of the 10 commandments to being gay or anything like that. And they're going to say, oh, well, being gay is worse. That's not one of the 10 commandments now, is it? And the other thing the Bible says is, judge not lest ye be judged. Okay? It is a sin to go around judging people. To look at someone and say, you're going to hell, you know, because you did this, because you did that. That's casting judgment. We are not the judge. We're not the jury. Okay? That's not what we're supposed to be doing. You know, one thing I've said before, if the Bible teaches you to hate the sinner, you're either reading the wrong Bible or you're reading the right Bible wrong. Okay? The Bible teaches us to love your enemies. You know, it even says to forgive your enemies. You know, and one thing I think about is, you know, let's imagine someone has mental defects, okay, mental disorders, or someone has a bad reaction to a medication, okay, and they go in on a rampage and hurt a lot of people. When that person stands before God, could you really think they wouldn't get any leniency at all? I think they would. Because if it was something that was out of their control, you know, because they took a medication their doctor prescribed to them, okay, but they had an allergic reaction to it, or it mixed with something else they were taking, and, you know, no one knew what the side effects were going to be. And that's one of those things. It's like, you know, you did the crime, now you have to do the time. And I totally get that. But when that person goes before God, what's it going to be then? You know, and the difference there is God knows everything about that person, knows where their intent was, knows, you know, what they were thinking at the time, knows if they had any control over what was happening. Okay? So I don't think that person would be judged the same way as, you know, a mass shooter or something like that. You know, someone who just wanted to go out and hurt people. I don't think those two will be judged the same way. And, you know, if we look at the video, Take Me to Church, what I've tried to tell people before, you know, what side do you think is going to be judged more harshly by God? Okay. You know, the guys who were apparently living in sin, or the other guys that attacked them. Now, in my opinion, and this is just speculation because I don't know for sure, okay, but my opinion is that the guys who attacked them would be judged a lot worse than the other guys. Okay, the guys who were just trying to live their lives in peace. You know, I think if that was, as you know, we've all heard many times, it's an abomination of God, it's the worst thing you can do, and yet it wasn't in the 10 Commandments. Okay. And something I didn't know from watching the podcast, what Cat Williams said was a big part of the issue God had with Sodom and Gomorrah was that they weren't hospitable. And I think, I need more clarification on that. I think I need to, maybe listen to someone read it, right? And see if I can start to put everything together. Because it seems to me that a lot of people have taken that story out of context and just made it so that, well, God hates gay people. Okay, that's just the end of the story. God hates gay people. And that's it. It's abomination to God. It's the worst thing you can do. You do that, you're going straight to hell. Okay? But it looks like there's more to the story than just that. So this is where I would like to ask Amy's opinion about that. Because I'm sure she probably knows a lot more about, that story than I would, or probably most people would. I hate the sin, not the sinner. Okay? Jesus still loved all the sinners. He did. So, alright. That's it for now, y'all.